Our mission here in Kenya has indeed been a historic one. For the first time ever, an Orthodox judicatory, an Orthodox church, sent a mission team into a third world country specifically for the purpose of constructing a church and also for the purpose of conducting medical clinics throughout the country. On both accounts, we have been greatly successful in that which we attempted to accomplish. A beautiful church has been constructed in the village of Lobere, which is 200 kilometers north of Nairobi, and the medical team, which was staffed by 4 physicians and 3 nurses, treated and ministered on to approximately 2,500 people.
Over a year ago, we had the idea that we would like to share in a more meaningful way the experiences that we've had over here, and that we would like to see if some of the people could come over from America to be with us and to, in a concrete way, contribute to the founding of this very young church. I had the opportunity to speak about this with Bishop Anastasios, who's the local bishop here, and to see how he would feel about a team coming from America. At the time that I was doing this, and Nancy and I were talking to us, simultaneously the Holy Spirit was moving with people in America, especially in the young adult movement, to have the similar type of program set up.
Then in the summer of 1986, I was encouraged to attend the Young Adult League Conference in Dallas, which was combined with a Clergy Laity Conference that year. And I was told that a lot of young people were interested in mission work. And so I went there to give a little presentation on mission work and show some slides that I had taken in Kenya and Ghana and Ethiopia, and discovered that there were a good number of really committed young people who wanted to go and do something too, not just watch my slides. And the idea began to circulate around, and people began to encourage me to actually plan some kind of project where young people would go abroad, not just priests as missionaries, but young adults felt that they could do something worthwhile too.
The culmination of this effort on the American side was Project Hope. it will be for generations down the road to realize that what we've done here is an historical thing. And as we sit in this church, a church that's built out of strong stone, a church that will last some 300 or 400 years, we must realize that God, through us, has made an imprint in Kenya, and that the seal of the Holy Spirit has come upon these people through 30 young people from America. In this particular location of Laikipia, we have 15 communities which encompasses some 3,000 Christians. And yet in these 15 communities we had no stone church. Lobere has been the center of this activity, and we felt it natural that this be the place where the first stone church was erected.
We had so many people who were really earnestly committed to missions, who really could put their money where their mouth was and say, I will sacrifice to go, I will leave my job, I will raise the money.
Just look at this group. I mean, I'm a foreign service major, and I'll probably have some kind of international service career. So it's not as big a thing for me to take a gamble and come over here. But look at all these people that don't have any international experience. Some of them have never been overseas. They had no idea about development work or anything like that, and yet they just had faith, and they risked it, and they came over. And then we built this church in less than 3 weeks, and like 14 work days.
I think what I like best is no matter what job we're doing, whether we're digging a latrine or just cleaning up the cement from the ground that the other people drop, even if it seems insignificant, it's something. This physical labor, in a real sense, is really helping God's spiritual work.
The health clinics, unfortunately, we only can do when we have visitors from other countries.
The diseases here are many, including serious ones like malaria, like a lot of diarrheal diseases. We were able, with the help of the people back home, to provide the funds and medicines to do something about them. That is, that we treated these diseases as we saw them.
If we could get the communities aware of the importance of just keeping their homes clean, themselves clean, their food and water prepared in the right way, 75% of what I saw here could have been prevented. A lot of the things that are going on here are just because of a third world lack of education, and that's one of the goals that our mission is going to try to put through to change that in the future.
Out of this experience came a plan whereby we can establish at least one permanent clinic with a rotating group of physicians and nurses.
2 months? Is she doing it every day? The saddest thing I saw were 2 children who were severely malnourished and who very well could die because of that.
What was most dramatic for me was the reception that we received by the people, waiting for us and dancing around us almost on certain occasions. Their hospitality after we got through, we would go long hours, by the way, without having an opportunity to eat, and they would certainly feed us wonderfully. And just the attitude of the people, extremely friendly, cordial, grateful. I think that they were an example to us of what Orthodox Christians can be like.
One of the best things for me was that after living here for 2 years, I find that it's really difficult to share this experience with our family and our friends. You can write a lot of letters and send a lot of pictures and even send a movie, but it can't capture what really happens here and what one really feels here, living here every day. And I think that it's really good for me to know that there are 30 other people in the United States that know what Dan and I have gone through for the past 2 years, and that they can share that memory with us.
I teach elementary school. I was able to visit 2 schools in between breaks of working on the church.
I'm not leaving for another week, and we've got about a month's worth of work.
I've learned patience, patience, patience.
And also how to fill in cracks.
And how to fill in cracks.
Even baptized a little boy yesterday.
Hey, tell us about the baptism.
Well, this 6-month-old baby was looking for a godfather, I guess, so they found me in the back of the church. And, I was honored to do it. Met the mother, Mary, and Demetrius. I held his hand a little bit, took my name, my grandfather's name, and there were 5 baptisms, 2 Demetriuses. Yeah, I got the address of the mother. She's got my address. Maybe someday he'll come to America. The world is small. And I'll come back and see the church finished. Maybe he'll be an altar boy in the church. You never know.
Yeah, these Africans are cutting out the stone. They're using chisel and hammer and actually chopping out the stone to fit, to get smooth sides.
And here we're stooping over and picking up bricks and scraping up mortar for hours at a time, doing little things that are just a very good lesson in humility.
Last Tuesday, Father Anesti took me to this village of Mahor, and it's one of his 15 parishes, and he took me for the reason of bringing a group of 20 ladies together in order to instruct them how to make prospero. And then after that, they all invited me into their hut where we sat down and they made a wonderful, wonderful dinner. But before we had dinner, we all sat down and we shared some of our favorite Bible studies, and they all had their own favorite Bible story to tell, and the importance and the significance of that Bible story in their own lives.
I guess one of the greatest things about being here was having a chance to meet Bishop Anastasios and to see someone actually take our Christian faith and do more than talk about it or plan about it or organize what you're going to do with it, but actually reach out and live it. He touches their lives and he explains our faith to them in a way that we all need to have it explained to us. Just by his actions and his expressions himself, you see that he really lives the liturgy, and that after each service, when he's talking with the children or when he's dancing with the people or when he's eating their food, it's not a symbolic gesture and it's not something that he has to do. It's a love that he feels inside of himself. From watching the bishop, you see that everyone is colorless and there are no little boundaries about people anymore.
This was what? The inside? If you think that there are too many.
We're working with these people and building them a Kenyan church, but in the Greek Orthodox style, and I think it's important that you work with the people on these trips, because if you just come here and build a church and walk away from it, it won't be used for what you expect it to be used. But if you come here and you build a church with the people so that it's part them and part you, it makes a big, big difference.
One of the most interesting experiences that I had while I was in Africa was when we went on a Sunday to Omaran, and we went there for a church service in the morning, and then afterwards we had like cokes and bread with butter, whatever, to give them as a little meal.
It was one of the hardest things I ever did in my life because the people were hungry and they hadn't eaten, and the little children were malnutrition.
Everyone was grabbing, pushing, shoving, trying to get their share because they thought if they would have stayed at the end of the line, then they wouldn't have got any. And to see people like fight that much for food, it really makes you think.
How in America we have so much, but yet we think we have so little, and yet these people here, in essence, have so little, but yet they have so much.
If we in the United States could just sacrifice a little, one meal a day. I mean, you know how much $3 goes, how far $3 goes here. I mean, for $3 you could buy 10 loaves of bread and some Cokes or something like that.
It showed you such harsh realities that no one wants to face, and it just brought me back to the idea that Father Dan told us a few nights before we went there, and he said that we were called to be faithful, not to be successful. And as hard as that day was, and as much as it hurt your heart, it was probably one of the most growing experiences, because it taught me that you've got to stand by your faith and you've got to stand with it.
For people who are poverty-stricken and live in the midst of disease and actually live in the midst of very little, they never complain. They're incredibly warm people and friendly people. And the love that they showed us in the hospitality was absolutely amazing.
It's put my priorities in perspective, and you know, hopefully when I go back to the States, I'm going to change a little, change my ways, and think of other people in the United States, other people in the world, and think of how they live, think of how lucky we are.
Coming to this country and seeing the way other people live is very important for anyone, because it's important for us to realize that the country that we come from is not the only country in the world, and the way we do things is not the only way things are done in the world. And it's good to realize that other people in the world live differently from us.
Ultimately, what I'd like to see for the Orthodox Church in America is to have a program of domestic and foreign missions set up so that anyone who wants to volunteer for a certain amount of time, for 2 years or more, or for 6 months, can have a project set up where he'll be well prepared, well trained, well oriented, and he can volunteer his time and really make a big impact.
We even included a 3-day safari, not so much that we felt we needed the rest, but we wanted the people to know that this is still a wild part of the world. It's still a part where we have to deal with difficulties which we can't even fathom in America. In this particular area, probably about 20 kilometers from here, I've often encountered problems with the Christians, whether crops have been destroyed by elephants. They've had problems with lions and the such. And so I think that our experience on the safari helped us to realize that from the skyscrapers of Nairobi and the technology of Nairobi, Kenya is a country which extends also to the bush and to a very wild bush.
The favorite part about the safari was when we were on foot and we were walking. We were in the bush, and we had this this guide. He had 3 bullets in his gun.
Naturally, we always made sure that he was in front of us at all times.
Sandy was in our group, and she came across a brand new baby-born Thompson Gazelle, and it still couldn't even walk. The umbilical cord was still hanging. It was one of the most beautiful things that I've ever seen in my life, because it's the survival of the fittest. And that poor little baby was helpless. And in the distance we could see the mother watching us. And it was like one of God's creations. It was so perfect and so peaceful. And that was really, really touching.
And it's great riding in a matatu.
Tell us about riding in a matatu.
Riding in a matatu is an experience you'll never forget. I went to a baptism of 28 people in a village close by, and on our way back, after we had dinner in one of the parishioners' homes, which is like an experience in its own, we were getting back into the truck, and Faye and I thought we were going to be the only ones in there, and before we knew it, there were about 15 other Africans in there, and it was like sardines and bumpy, and you know, you're fearing your life, but it was nice. So it's something that you'll never forget and you'll probably never experience again.
On the eve of our departure for the United States, I sense a very special closeness to each of the members of this particular team. I feel as if these individuals with whom we have been working, playing together, eating together, and living with one another is in fact the closeness which is experienced primarily in that of a family.
The camaraderie all during the trip was amazing, and there was some times when we started to get on each other's nerves, but that's expected. I mean, we were living 10 guys in a small garage, and you find out who snores and who talks in their sleep.
We brought together a group of 29 individuals, all of whom are leaders in their own right, and rather than experience conflict as one might expect in having so many chiefs and no Indians, we discovered that by the grace of God and by the grace of the Holy Spirit, there was a real cohesiveness and a real bonding. And the longer that we were together, the closer this bonding had taken effect.
It's exciting to me to know that some of my fondest memories in my life are being shared with 30 other people.
The real hope of the world doesn't lie in any individual projects. The hope of the world lies in our willingness to attach ourselves to Jesus Christ. When we do that, then the seed which started out as Project Hope will mature and bear fruit all over the world.
It's going to be like the Hagia Sophia of Kenya.
Congratulations to the first Orthodox missionary team ever to travel to a third world country. Father Dan Christopoulos, Presbytera Nancy Christopoulos, Antonia Adams, Vicky Bellis, James Bobbis, Dr. George Christakis, Dr. Paul Christakis, Faye Kokinos, Father Paul Kostopoulos, Mary Danikas, Tina Demopoulos, Dr. John DeVeris, Sonia Enoch, Dean Georges, Carrie Joyner, Maria King, Dan McGinnis, George Miliotis, Jimmy Nicolau, Greg Papadeus, Andrew Pappas, Leah Pappas, Tim Petitsis, Sandra Philosophus, Christine Postolis, Dimitri Schreckengast, Luke Veronis, Philip Yamalis, Raymond Zamaris.